So that first slide shows you the default mode network of thought, isn't it? How dopamine goes to work for think, do, executive, empathic function, and after 40 to 45 minutes, dopamine will come down. Then serotonin starts to work for satiety. How well did I do this? How can I improve? That's how the brain always gets us to think. So, thinking tracks begin with the prefrontal cortex, think and do. We'll get on to the other slides. So, dopamine works for salience of 45 minutes, and then serotonin takes over, satiety, check back, vichakshana. That's how we will study. Automatically after 45 minutes you will feel like waiting a little. If a kid is on the pixel screen with high digital activity, then dopamine doesn't come down, keeps going up. This happens with fast digital activity online within 25 minutes. So when you're studying, it's not fast. Only thing that if you're on the online screen, try to avoid looking at the screen if you can, if there are no graphics to look at. So that's what I lecture to any kind of student. And write down your notes as much as possible, though what you are studying is online. What you write down, you remember. So at every lecture I tell the girls, what the fellow sends in the WhatsApp proposing romance, don't agree to it, he can't remember after that. Get him to write a proper name. Thing labeling get him to write a proper letter that you can keep. That's aside. So the principle is write down notes as much as possible, make short notes of any subject. That's how you become brilliant. Learning process is a keep doing thing all the time. You may have been born brilliant, you may have a high IQ potential, but if you don't train brain goes down the drain. Tell me what I said. Very good. If you don't train brain goes down the drain, and you will end up at Devanna. Got the point? Yeah. So this is how we think and do. This is how we check back. And checking back, I told you, becomes a character trait. It's good for a curriculum, it's good for your character, choices, everything. If you keep on with fast digital activity, dopamine 1, physiological, shifts to dopamine 2, addictive. Now you can fill your answers. This is the default mode network of thought. And some learned articles, academic articles, call the screen electronic cocaine because this is the action of cocaine. Cocaine keeps dopamine high and the fellow wants to do the same thing over and over again. So it's not an innocent hobby. Once you are digitized, you are dealing with a neurochemically altered person. And so we are teaching the medical profession not to treat such a person with methylphenidate and other drugs, but to use empathic learning therapy, empathic motor therapy. I did the academic seminar on this for SLMA in 2019. Documents are available, but it's a little at postgraduate level. This is good enough, but if anyone is really interested and thinking of a distinction in, anyone has a distinction in pharmacology? No. It's an easy subject to get a distinction. Pathology is tough. Yeah. In my time I got the gold medal for both of these, so that's okay because my brain is a little abnormal. So next one, digitized kids and adults can move into depression, feel useless and joyless. Only you can make yourself useful. To prevent depression, keep yourself joyful and useful. For this, every hour, apply dopamine-driven salience, aim, focus, achieve. So when dopamine goes down, girls easily move into chronic fatigue syndrome. You don't feel like working even in the classroom, they put their head down. Boys, because of the testosterone drive, they get more violent. They can cut yourself and get into perilous experiments. You understand the word perilous? Risky experiments. So at the same time, once the girl came, parents are teachers. She was O-level, I think. She was with long sleeve blouses, and the mother was saying after a while, darling, show your arm to the uncle. She resisted, but suddenly she did that to her blouse sleeve and showed me a big gash, it's healed, but it's about 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters wide gash. I said, what happened? He said, it's like this, doctor. Life is all about experiments and experiences. Her English was superb. So you must experience everything. I wanted to experience death and see. You can't experience death and see after that. So they are that nutty, that so driven, and she's not repentant, so to say. So I had to, of course, I take about 40 minutes with each person, showing these graphics, speaking to them. You mustn't get shocked at all because they shout at the parents, they shout at you. But you get through to in about 40 minutes. First 10 minutes goes to convince the father that this is his problem. Brain works like this, children work like this. When things are going good, mother makes it daily safe within the boundaries. But when boundaries are breached and kids get into trouble, father has to be there for restoration. That's how we are wired up like that. So what happens is when problems increase, father abdicates. He's busy, he's working, true enough, he has his own stress. But when they come to see me for the test, I ask, father, what is your son's best subject? Then usually I keep them, father is here, mother is here, the kid is in between. So then the father turns towards whom? Mother. Then she quickly says, whatever. Then again I ask the father, what sports does your son like to do? And again, so after about 3-4 questions like that, he understands that this issue he must own. So you must not allow parents to think going to another practitioner and getting some more drugs is the solution. That's the major part of the battle, is convincing parents empathic learning therapy, empathic motor therapy is the way to go. So part of it is Kids Family Connect, KFC. Have you heard of any other KFC? So to avoid brand problems, I say KFC little n, Kids Family Connect. Generally speaking, all parents agree to, rather than going to endless practitioners. I have seen a 9-year-old boy getting 9 drugs. Ridiculous, isn't it? All psychoactive drugs. So don't get into that practice. Refer them for this kind of thing. And the other family issues that may make children jittery, inattention, impulsivity, hyperactivity, those are the 3 symptoms of ADHD. What is ADHD? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. So attention deficit has 1, attention span is short. They can't concentrate for long. They are jittery. Teachers will say, Doctor, හරිම වැඩි මේගොල්ලන් එක තැන ඉඳගෙන ඉන්න sit down කියලාම අපේ ශක්තිය, we are tired. So attention span is short, attention depth is shallow, and attention intensity required has got dispersed, like they can't think through Ganita or mathematics, Any subject you have to think through, isn't it? To grasp it, absorb it, collation, connection, there's a recall, there's a process of learning before you come to the exam. All that has got disrupted because dopamine has overtaken all the other neurochemical transmitters. So you have to work with them to get them back on track. So for this, every hour, apply dopamine-driven salience, serotonin-driven satiety, Serotonin says, I am rewarded, it's good to do this. Practice your design default mode network, DMN of thought practice. Too difficult language to understand, or can I hope you will? I'll send this to Prof. He can decide what he does with the PowerPoint. You will take this home, and there's another little document you will take home, which is informational. This is easier written thing. Have you got this on your table? This is easier written. This is more technical for this is like the subject medical students should know. Okay. Don't be alarmed that you know nothing about this. One thing, nothing much of this may come for your exam. Secondly, there are lots of doctors and specialists who don't know anything about this subject. So this is a new subject. Many medical faculties are adding a lecture or two on this, either family medicine or pharmacology. Psychiatrists are difficult customers, don't tell them, because they want to prescribe, and they will not allow clinical psychologists to practice in Sri Lanka. Clinical psychologists are those who don't prescribe drugs. They have a medically trained background. They sit and put them children through behavioral therapy. So there's a generation of kids, it's not only the digital screen, parent abandonment, TikTok influences, they are being taught, family karala wadak naha වෙන කාටවත් සලකන්නේ මොකටද? You become great yourself, and you can quickly earn and become an entrepreneur. No point going to university, no point doing professions. Business is the way forward, and some of those fellows have got rich. So they talk on TikTok and they convince, then marriage is useless. You still have the cow and the milk. Why have the commitment of marriage? This is the language they talk. And they say, what is this? Parents are trying to tell us we must look after themselves. If they brought us, we have to look after ourselves. Let the old fellows look after themselves. Me kata karna bhasha. I'm not fabricating. So you have a generation, this kind of language is usually 14, 15, 16, 17. They are antisocial, isn't it? So keep a tab on your sister and your younger brother and younger sister. They are more open to all these TikTok influences than you all were. Okay? You know what that Canadian chap did, isn't it? He shot dead 6 people in Canada. And the chap who slept with him in the same room, also he shot dead. One by one systematically. So you can see how deranged the brain can be. At this stage, I might as well tell you, and during court on the screen all the time. So one day in the night he came running to the parents' room saying, then every mirror, so they had to cover every glass, something to be aware when you are dealing with kids like this. As I said, our profession is not geared for this because they are still thinking drugs will solve the issue. We need a new generation of medical doctors. My last article was don't for the child's needs, for prevention as well as for curative. Okay? So this one. Now this is the other graphic you should remember. It's in your docs. What I already told you, prefrontal cortex, top down. Yeah. So this is the top-down regulation, executive, empathic, reflective, creative. You can understand the words easily, isn't it? Initiation, navigation, end conclusion, reward, decision-making process. When they flip to bottom-up regulation because of the addictive mode, because DA1 becomes DA2 addictive, too much concentrate on studies or anything else. They are jittery. They want to get up and go, Later I will show you the 7 brain tracks, how it works normally and how it works abnormally in this situation. So their dyspathy is stupid, idiot, they scold and kick tantrums, don't want to come to the dinner table, meal time, they want to do it in their own room and so on. Yeah. So akkas and ayas have a big role to play. You have to take on your Nangi Malli, your younger sister and brother, what they are up to, what their digital life is that, because they will listen to you better than to parents. They think parents are from the Jurassic Park. Yeah. That's how they think. And that's how they talk. Yeah. So the bottom-up regulation is dispati, impulsive, repetitive, reflexive. You understand the word reflexive? Sitannata pera, panala bal. So even if they are crossing roads, they do that. They want to see whether I can cross before the bus comes. And in sports like rugger, when you are digitized, you have more injuries because in rugger, you need to know in practice. So 5 lifelines, well-organized meal time. Meals are curative because during meal time you get good oxytocin, serotonin and GABA. GABA is gamma-amino, butyric acid, empathy. Oxytocin is bond homing. So I always take time on this to parents. Keep your meal times as much as possible. And at the meal time, don't discuss politics or anything else. Discuss what is good for the child. Make it a happy family time to include the child. And you have to prohibit TV and father using the smartphone at family time and so on. You have to be very strict about these things. These look simple things, but this is the way to recover empathy time for them. Empathy is the therapy. Drug is not the therapy. So, activity time with dad, 7 p.m. happy family hour, get best sleep routine, sunset, sunrise. If you wake up at about 5:30 at least, when you see your morning sunlight, your melatonin comes down and your daytime bioclocks get activated quietly. So your adrenal cortical axis kicks in quietly. All the receptors are put back to normal. Yeah. But when you later you should wake up with a good dream. That means you have had good normal sleep. Did you understand that? So that's how God has made our brain, with melatonin giving us brain health, retinal health, and some organs health also depends on melatonin. Immunity depends on melatonin. I don't recommend people taking melatonin as a tablet. There are all kinds of suggestions. If you take blueberries, melatonin will do good. You see, all these things are theories, but if you stick to your normal sleep, that's better than everything else. Get best sleep routine, daily 7 a.m., write down your timetable with pen and paper. World over, CEOs of huge big companies, they write down with a pen and a notepad initially. Then only they feed it into the digital device, because when you are writing and thinking, you think better. That's how it is. So your short notes also, you ought to be doing with your pen and paper rather than on the computer. All things done on the computer have less of a memory than what you write. Okay? That's the fact. So you have to decide how you manage. Never give smartphone or pixel screen under the age of 3. American Pediatric Association, that's a regulation. So when kids are put on the screen under the age of 3, there are language scrambles, because language learning is related to the use of fingers. And our neuronal percentages in the sensory and motor cortex, about 35% has to do with lips, eyes, fingers. So more the child uses lips, eyes, fingers, the more brain brilliant the child becomes. So child should be doing building blocks, matty molding, clay molding, and at a later age mechanoset. Those are the things that wire up the brain tracks for brilliance. Giving the stupid screen, smart screen to the child, the fellow becomes stupid. It's a terrible thing. And at public lectures, I tell the parents, make a lama apacharya, taveka mokadda kiyana mama, make a bala aparadya. because the kid is getting, his language is scrambled. 1/3 of the kids that come to me for empathic learning consultation are about 6 years old, and their language has scrambled and they can't express themselves. Now, up to about 6 years, they listen and talk like a parrot. They'll recite kavi and poetry and whatnot, but that is by memory. They are emulating. They are not making language. After 5, 6, that ability to emulate කියන අනුකරණය කිරීමේ හැකියාව අඩු වෙනවා. So they are frustrated. So when parents come and the kid wants to say something, he knows what to say. His language hasn't formed. He hits the mother. We ought to be hitting the father really. But in his inside bonding, he feels mom should have helped me and not keep me in this. It's a pathetic thing, when they want to say and can't say. So such kids, of course, need empathic learning therapy and motor therapy over a long period of time. They may even need to get a special teacher because if parents are both going to work, they don't have time for the child, isn't it? He will be put more on the screen. Some preschools don't have the screen. Others have. And then all these places where parents keep kids till they come home after work, they all put the child on the screen. And it's a terrible thing, Yep. Take a break after 25 minutes of screen by squeezing. So even while studying, you can squeeze tweezers, and you can keep a carpet, lanupadura-like thing, and barefooted and do that, because those lanupaduras have rough touch, pressure, gatiti kind of thing. So that works like proprioception. Yes. Never study with LED lights. Keep attention span to 45 minutes. Do not multitask with social media. 4 pages of handwriting in 2 languages keeps your brain brilliant and prevents Alzheimer. That's just by the way. Too much stuff for your head, isn't it? You can fan your brain a little. Let me come till the other graphic comes up. So this is what you saw upstairs? Yeah. What to do? Reduce digitization when online. Reduce LED light in vicinity. Night mode. When you munch crunchy stuff, even pear, if you are richer apple, the mastication muscles move the glutamate in the brain, which inhibits the dopamine. Did you understand that? So children taking food at the right time, teaching them to munch and eat themselves, they take it. So that's part of taking aim. All that helps them to keep their brain occupied for brilliance. Then of course crayon and the usual thing kids are given to do. Then small puzzles according to their age. All that is important for keeping brain tracts growing. Don't multitask, no music plug on your ears. If you listen to music while you study, you will not remember what you study. So young fellows say, when I listen to music, I can sit in one place longer than normal, which is true, but the fellow is not studying. So both the music and the videos stimulate the temporal lobe, but you have to study on your prefrontal cortex. So these are things to tell parents, that. But if you put a child very young on the stringed instruments, even on keyboards, and he begins to sing while playing as part of a hobby, let's say once in 3 hours, rather than go to the screen, play the instruments, flute or guitar or violin or whatever, and sing older songs like Amazing Grace. Newer songs are 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 rhythm. That's the kind of the rhythm that activates the